And in this video, we're going to show you how to, I'm going to show you how to do the Editing Teen Talk Audio Segments project. And this is the process you'll use for the headlines, news, discussion, or really any Teen Talk segment. So first thing, of course, you're going to need to do is log into your Google Classroom on the Intro to Communication Careers classroom, and you'll see the assignment right here. I'll have this video actually added to this by the time you do it. And there are 3 assignments here, 3 audio files you'll need to download. So let's go ahead and click on those one at a time. When I click on it, I will click the download button. It'll say download anyway and get that going. You notice it may have a different file name than the one that Google Classroom has, just because you can rename a file in Google Classroom and it's not really the actual file renamed. So we'll go ahead and download these other 2. There we go, and you may have, it'll open a bunch of tabs when that happens. And then up here on the top, click the download button. And we'll let those all come down. Alrighty, so now you can see here in my Google Chrome, I have all 3 files down. I'm not going to open those up yet. I am going to go into my Windows. Now I'm on Windows 10. Yours, of course, looks a little bit different. But what we're going to look for is an Adobe product called Adobe Audition right here. Just go ahead and search for Audition, and you should open it up. Now I have a little bit newer version, but it should look identical or nearly identical to the one you'll be using here at school. We'll let this go ahead and load up. All right, the Adobe Audition window here. There's quite a bit of information here on the screen here. You'll notice up here on the top left, I have the files. This is the files that are my current project. We have a media browser for finding the files to put in our media project, and a few more tabs over here. We have an effects rack where we can add effects to it, markers, and properties. Notice when I click on something, a blue line goes around this little window. Over the big window here is my editor, and you're going to see our waveforms show up here in a minute. Down at the bottom we have levels, so when I have audio going you'll see that pop up and down, and then some information on the file as it's playing. Now, as with all of the Adobe Creative Cloud products, whenever I have one of these windows here that is highlighted, I'll go over to the media browser one here. If I hit the tilde key, it's the one on the top left corner. It's got a little wiggly little wiggly line. It makes it go full screen, and sometimes that's just easier to find your files this way. Okay, so I'm going to need to go to my downloads folder, and so I'm going to have to look for that. Be under users. Of course, in your version you may have it a little bit easier to find. There we go. There's me, my login, and then we'll find my downloads right there. And the last 3 files I downloaded should be right there at the top, and we'll go ahead and select those. Okay, so I'll hit my tilde key again. I have found my files. Let's just double click the first one, and it's loading it in. And it loads it into the waveform editor. By hitting the space bar, it'll start playing.
Well, hello, Palmer, and welcome to Teen Talk. I'm your host for this week, Taya, and I enjoy it.
If we need to. Okay, so that's the first one. Let's go to the next one. I'm going to double click that, and that loads this up. Let's listen to this.
This is Teen Talk. Coming up on this week's Teen Talk, we have What's Up with Taya and the News Crew, Sports with Aaron, Calendar with Michael, and Christian with Music, and much more. All
right, and then we have one more file. Let's open that. The third one is called As the Crows Flies. We'll load that in, and this is our opening music we use for Teen Talk. You can see it's about a little over 2 minutes and 40 seconds long. Okay, now let's take a look at Adobe's Audition, one more little feature on here. If you take a look up at the top left area here, you have the waveform, and then here you have multitrack. And unlike Audacity, which only works in the multitrack, and you see all the waveforms on there, this has two versions. You use the waveform, like we have right now, to work on an individual file. When I click over to multitrack, it's going to want a new session, and we're going to call this Teen Talk News, and we'll take the and we'll take all of the defaults, and now we have a multi-track session, and this is sort of what Audacity looks like. We still have all our files over here on the right. This one with the box is going to be our session file, and the ones with little pointy icons here are our individual waveforms. So now we have my intro, which we had already edited a little bit. I'm going to drop this down onto the timeline, and it wants to change some sample rates. That's okay. Just click OK. Let's listen to this real quick. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to move this over just a little bit by clicking and dragging on this bar. Here's my playhead, and you can see over here it's about 20 seconds long. All right. So I have a little bit of a gap right in here. That may be more than I need, but I want to have my music as the crow flies. I'm going to click this, and I'm going to drag this on the track below it. Now let's listen.
This is Teen Talk.
Okay, that's pretty cool. That gives us just a second or two of audio of music before the voice comes in. But there's a problem here. The voice is being overshadowed by the music, so we need to bring that music down. So here's my music file. First thing that might help is I want to zoom in on that. So I'm going to go ahead down here in the bottom right. There's my zoom in. You can also see the equal sign. Will help zoom in. Every time I click, that zooms it in, or the equal sign, which is really just below the plus sign on the regular keyboard. All right, now we can also see that there's a big beat right here in the music. Let's listen to that.
This.
All right, that's not that big of a deal, but I might want to just slide that right onto that beat. It's kind of neat to have that there. Okay, now we have this is Teen Talk, but it's too loud. So what I need to do is I'm going to place my playhead just before it starts saying this is Teen Talk. And on this yellow line here, I'm going to give myself a click. And notice it's hard to see, but there's a little blue diamond there. If I move the playhead over, you see that blue diamond? I'm going to click another spot on here and move that blue diamond. Now, where I am in the timeline here, take a look at this top bar here. This is the window that I'm actually seeing in here, and I open that up a little bit. I'm kind of zooming out. You can see Taya stopped talking. This is Teen Talk, and then she pauses, and then she goes into coming up on Teen Talk. And I want the music to dip down when she's talking and go back up when she's not. So I'm going to move my playhead just before she's done talking. We'll put another one of these we call keyframes, and I'm going to click and move this over just a little bit more and put another keyframe. Now it's okay because I can move these keyframes around a lot, all I want. Now, as long as I don't just click and drag, oops, I did not want that. Okay, now I want to be able to move just these keyframes down. So I'm going to click and drag that down. I'll go to the other one and click and drag that down. All right, and get that about level. And what this is my volume. You can see that the volume level will drop down here. We call it ducking, and then it'll go back up. So let's listen to see if I got it right.
This is Teen Talk.
Okay, that's obviously way too much, so I don't want that much on there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring this up a bit. I think I'll bring the other side up a bit. And we'll just play this again and see if I got it right.
This is Teen Talk. Coming up on this.
All right, good. Now, I'm going to want to do the same thing for the rest of this. We're going to make my zoom a little bit wider again. All right. Let's see. There we go. Now we can see where she starts talking again. It pops up just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and pop a keyframe in there. We'll pop another one in there. It looks like right here we have a break. Right here we have, so you need to have work in these in pairs, or actually fours, because you have to have a starting point and then an ending point. All right. Now we can start moving these keyframes around. So click on that, drag her down. We can see about where we want it to be. Now you also notice that I can move it left and right too to make my fade go slower or faster. And whoops, I think I added an extra keyframe. That's okay. Get right back on there and move that down. I'm thinking this might be dipping a little too fast. Let's get right there. Let's listen.
Coming up on this week's Teen Talk, we have What's Up with Taya and the News Crew, Sports with Aaron, Calendar with Michael, and Christian with music, and much more. Teen Talk is a Valley Teen forum for the Valley Teen Voice and is produced by the Matthews School's Career and Tech Media programs and the Colony High Media Studios.
Okay, now I don't mind letting the music play for a little bit, but I don't want to play the full track because that's a couple minutes long. So I'll let it go for another 5 or 10 seconds. We get in this little riff. All right, that's probably pretty good. I can put another keyframe here, and then we'll just put a second keyframe here and drag it down. And let's see. All right, good. And that might need to go a little bit quicker than that, because then we're going to want to get right into our next segment. All right, and that's a great way to end it. And I think I'm going to even make it a little bit faster than that. Because, okay. And you can kind of tweak this until you like it a little bit. I'm actually going to add a little bit more. Whoops. If you make a little mistake, that's all right. Just Control-Z will undo what your last movement was. I'm going to move it just a little bit longer. That's how I like it. All righty. Now, the easiest way to trim this, I don't need any more of this music. I'm going to use this razor selected clip tool, and I'm going to bring it right here to the end of that keyframe. And I want to go back to my move tool. I'm going to click this section because I just cut that, and I hit the delete key, and that is gone. Now, you can see right here the zoom out will get me everything, or I can zoom the whole song. And this is what my finished piece is going to look like. Let's take a listen to just the beginning of it again.
This is Teen Talk. Coming up on this week's Teen Talk, we have What's Up with Taya and the News Crew.
Okay, and you notice some of my lines aren't perfectly straight here, and it's really not very perceptible that they're not perfect. And I don't mind letting this play for a while. It's a great way to open the show. All right, the last thing we need to do now with this piece is we're going to export this. So I am going to go File, and let's definitely save it. So we'll click a Save button, and one more media files are located outside the session folder. Would you like to copy? Yes, I would. Whoops, I put no, but I should have said yes. And all right, so that saved Teen Talk News, but that is not the file that I'm going to use. I have to actually export the file. So I'm going to go into Multitrack Mixdown, and I can go ahead and do the entire session, which is go right to the end of the music. And from here, I'm going to choose what type of file. The WAV file is great for editing, but my final files I want to be MP3. So make sure you choose the MP3 file. And then you can see it's going to be users and under documents. So that's fine right now. If I don't want it there, I can click Browse. I'm in my documents folder. I'm actually going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call this Teen Talk Practice. Teen Talk Practice. So we'll put that in that folder. And let's see, make sure we select it. And we'll call it Teen Talk News Mixdown MP3. That's fine. We'll just save it like that. And OK. All right. So that is how to edit down your Teen Talk. Sometimes if someone has an or an that you don't like, you can actually edit that out, and we'll show that on another video.